For 70 years, the United States government position on UFOs was calculated ridicule, a public policy of swamp gas and weather balloons designed to make us look away. That policy ended on December 16, 2017, when the New York Times front page revealed a secret $22 million Pentagon project, the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, directed by career intelligence officer Luis Elizondo. But that was only the start. Luis's resignation over excessive secrecy created a shockwave, and soon 3 previously leaked UAP videos were verified by the Navy. Gimbal, a craft rotating against the wind. Go fast, a still unidentified object that's no longer estimated as being fast. And FLIR, the Tic Tac, an object with no wings and no visible propulsion that outmaneuvered the most advanced fighter jets. Links to all these in the description. And no, those were not planes. If this is what the public knows, what don't we? While strange airships and wartime Foo Fighters had been reported for decades, the modern phenomenon ignited in 1947. World War II had ended, and America was looking to the skies. Suddenly, flying saucers are everywhere, seen by pilots, police, and the public. A wave of excitement and fear sweeps the nation. To control this new narrative, the Air Force created the perfect tool. On the surface, Project Blue Book was a scientific investigation, collecting thousands of public reports, but its core mission came from a secret CIA committee, the Robertson Panel. Their conclusion, a national program of education and debunking, was needed to reduce public interest. For over a decade, that was the status quo, until the final nail in the coffin came in 1966 with the Condon Committee. After a controversial 2-year study, its conclusion was resolute. The study of UFOs was unlikely to yield major scientific discoveries, and with that, the door was slammed shut. The subject of UFOs was pushed to the fringe, a topic for tabloids, not for serious science. But there was one person on the inside who couldn't ignore the data. Dr. J. Allen Hynek, Project Blue Book's lead scientific advisor. Hired as a debunker, he slowly became a believer. Hynek would later state that a small percentage of Blue Book cases had no conventional explanation, concluding there is a phenomenon that is worthy of scientific study. The phenomenon didn't stop, it just went dark. For decades, while the governments tried to cover up, the sightings continued, growing more intense and more bizarre. 1980, United States Air Force personnel stationed in the UK witness a craft land in Rendlesham Forest. They report physical contact with the object. 1989, the Belgian wave. For over a year, thousands of citizens and military police report massive, silent, low-flying triangular craft across the country. 1997, the Phoenix Lights. A silent, mile-wide V-shaped object flies over the state of Arizona, witnessed by thousands, including the state governor. With governments officially silent, the task of investigation fell to a new generation of civilian researchers and whistleblowers. The most explosive of these was Bob Lazar, a physicist who claimed in 1989 that he had worked on reverse engineering alien technology at a secret base near Area 51, known as S4. His claims of specific propulsion systems and exotic elements were, for many, the first look inside the world the government insisted didn't exist. And it wasn't only civilians. In 1999, a group of high-ranking retired French generals, scientists, and intelligence officials quietly released the Comité Report. After studying decades of French military and civilian data, their conclusion was unambiguous. The extraterrestrial hypothesis was the most logical explanation. For years, stories like Lazar's were dismissed as fantasy, but in November 2004, something happened off the coast of California that could not be dismissed. An encounter that would change everything. For 2 weeks, the USS Nimitz state-of-the-art radar system, Spy-1, tracked a series of anomalous aerial vehicles. Finally, the command was given to investigate. 2 FA-18 Super Hornets were diverted. The lead pilot was a decorated Top Gun graduate, Commander David Fravor. What Fravor and his wingmen saw was a disturbance churning the ocean surface and hovering erratically above it. A smooth white oblong object with no wings, no rotors, and no visible propulsion. The Tic Tac. As Fravor descended to engage, the object mirrored his spiral, then accelerated at a speed that defied physics as we know, disappearing in an instant. Seconds later, it reappeared on radar 60 miles away, indicating a speed of 3,600 miles per hour. This single encounter would force the creation of a secret Pentagon program, AATIP, and lead directly to the landmark 2021 report from the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. The report officially confirmed that of 144 military encounters studied, all but one remained unexplained, and that some UAP appear to demonstrate advanced technology that represents a challenge to U.S. national security. The Tic Tac wasn't just a sighting, it was a data-rich event. When analysts studied the sensor data, they codified its impossible performance into 5 key characteristics, the 5 observables. First, anti-gravity lift. The objects can hover indefinitely with no flight surfaces and no visible means of propulsion. Second, hypersonic speeds. They can accelerate to velocities far beyond any known aircraft without creating a sonic boom. Third, low observability. They are often invisible to multiple sensor systems, including radar and infrared. Fourth, transmedium travel. They can move seamlessly and at incredible speeds between space, air, and water. And finally, the most physics-bending of all, instantaneous acceleration. The ability to change direction and velocity instantly, executing maneuvers that would create G-forces lethal to any human pilot and destructive to any known machine. How is this possible? One leading theory is magnetohydrodynamics, MHD. The craft could superheat the air around it into a plasma and then use powerful magnetic fields to create a frictionless bubble to move through. An even more exotic theory comes from Einstein's general relativity, warping space-time itself. The craft wouldn't travel through space. It would remain perfectly still, protected inside its own space-time bubble while essentially riding a wave of reality. This impossible technology isn't just displaying its capabilities randomly. The nature of the phenomenon shifted at the dawn of the atomic age. A new pattern emerged. A persistent interest in our most sensitive locations, starting with 2 of the places the bomb was born, Hanford Site and Oak Ridge National Laboratory. But the most alarming incidents occurred at our nuclear missile silos. In 1967 at Malmstrom Air Force Base in Montana, multiple officers reported a glowing red object hovering over their launch control facility as 10 of their nuclear ICBMs simultaneously went offline. And this was not an isolated event. Similar shutdowns by unidentified aerial objects have been reported by military witnesses at nuclear sites around the world, from the UK to the Soviet Union. Was it a threat? A warning? Or simply a study of a primitive species that had just discovered the power to destroy itself? Warping space-time may sound like science fiction, but what if the government wasn't just theorizing? What if they had the hardware? In 2023, David Grush, a 14-year intelligence veteran, alleged the existence of a multi-decade UAP crash retrieval and reverse engineering program.
Mr. Grush, finally, do you believe that our government is in possession of UAPs?
Absolutely, based on interviewing over 40 witnesses over 4 years.
And where?
I know the exact locations, and those locations were provided to the Inspector General and some of which to the intelligence committees. I actually had the people with the firsthand knowledge provide a protected disclosure to the Inspector General.
Thank you.
The claim wasn't just about nuts and bolts craft, it was also about the pilots.
You've stated that the government is in possession of potentially non-human spacecraft. Based on your experience and extensive conversations with experts, do you believe our government has made contact with intelligent extraterrestrials?
Something I can't discuss in a public setting.
Okay, I can't ask when you think this occurred. If you believe we have crashed craft, stated earlier, do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
As I've stated publicly already in my News Nation interview, biologics came with some of these recoveries, yeah.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human, and that was the assessment of people with direct knowledge on the program I talked to that are currently still on the program.
And while Grush brought the story to Congress, his claims are part of a much longer history of alleged recoveries, beginning in Mussolini's Italy 1933 with a mysterious bell-shaped craft allegedly recovered by the government from Magenta. 14 years later, the legend is born, Roswell, a crashed disc, a military cover-up, and supposed debris with strange, unearthly properties that would not burn or bend. 1965, Kecksburg, Pennsylvania. Eyewitnesses see a large, acorn-shaped object streak across the sky and crash in the woods before the military cordons off the area and removes it under the cover of darkness. 1967, Shag Harbor, Canada. A large, illuminated craft is witnessed descending into the water, sparking a massive naval search for an unidentified submerged object, or USO. And perhaps most disturbing, Varginha, Brazil, 1996. A case involving not just a crashed saucer, but multiple reports of its non-human crew being witnessed by civilians. And these are just the cornerstones. The full list of alleged retrievals spans the entire globe, creating a consistent, unidentified object-filled history. We've seen the testimony, we've seen the alleged hardware, but what if focusing on nuts and bolts craft is missing the point entirely? What about the encounters that defy not just our physics, but our logic? The reports of telepathic communication, of reality itself seeming to bend around the witness, of the phenomenon interacting directly with human consciousness. To explain this high strangeness, researchers have proposed theories that go beyond outer space and into other realities. Two radical ideas stand out: the interdimensional hypothesis and the ancient astronaut theory. To explore the most ancient theory, we must first travel back not just decades but millennia. The theory posits our ancestors were simply witnesses describing incredible events with the language of their time. The evidence, proponents claim, is hidden in plain sight, in the world's most sacred texts. In the ancient Hindu Vedas, some of the oldest texts on Earth, there are detailed descriptions of flying machines called vimanas. They are described as multi-tiered craft that could travel through the air, underwater, and into space. In the West, a similar question arises from the Bible. The prophet Ezekiel's detailed vision of a wheel within a wheel, a fiery, complex machine descending from the sky, echoes with details that modern researchers find strikingly familiar. This mixing of the divine and the technological is also found in historical records. In 1561, residents of Nuremberg, Germany, reported a terrifying aerial battle, witnessing hundreds of spheres, crosses, and tubes fighting in the sky for over an hour. Beyond single events, proponents point to a pattern: anomalies hidden in plain sight within our most treasured art. From the Wandjina cave paintings in Australia depicting pale, large-eyed beings that the Aboriginals believed were sky gods who brought civilization, to 15th century Renaissance paintings. The Madonna with Saint Giovannino famously depicts a strange, disc-shaped object in the sky. But what if the visitors aren't from another planet, but another dimension? This is the interdimensional hypothesis. The idea that UAPs are projections from a reality that coexists alongside our own. How could such a reality interact with ours? An often used analogy provides a clue. Imagine a two-dimensional world, a flat sheet of paper inhabited by 2D beings. If you, a three-dimensional being, simply put your finger down onto that paper, the 2D beings wouldn't perceive your hand or your body. They would only witness a circle, a strange object appearing out of nowhere, defying their laws of physics. To them, a simple touch would be a supernatural event. To you, it's just a basic interaction. The hypothesis suggests UAP encounters are our fingerprint moment, a brief intersection with a higher reality. So what is the purpose behind this constant quiet observation? Is there some sinister secret, or is it a scientific curiosity, a long-term project designed to prepare us or keep us safe? Or is it something far more fundamental, a connection stretching back to our very beginning? What if we aren't just being observed, but actively watched over by our very own Creator? From the desert sands of Roswell to the decks of the USS Nimitz, from sworn testimony in the halls of Congress to the strange echoes in our most ancient texts, the story of the UAP phenomenon presents a spectrum of incredible possibilities. Are they advanced terrestrial technology? Or vehicles from civilizations beyond our own? Or does the truth lie in a far stranger reality, an intersection with a higher dimension, a technology so advanced that, for all intents and purposes, is divine, a force that validates our most ancient concepts of God? In the end, all of these theories remain on the table. But while the true nature of the phenomenon remains a mystery, one fact does not. The one constant throughout the last 80 years, confirmed by the government's own admissions, is a pattern of secrecy and denial at the highest levels. And so after nearly a century of denial, dismissal, and deception, the most important question is no longer what's in our skies, but why are we still not being told the truth? But while the government continues its legacy of secrecy, a new approach is emerging from an unexpected place: mainstream academia. At Harvard University, Professor Avi Loeb has launched the Galileo Project. Its mission: to take the study of UAPs out of the shadows and bring it into the light of open, transparent, and rigorous science, free from government classification. Using a global network of advanced telescopes and sensor arrays, the project will continuously scan the skies, analyzing all data openly and making its findings available to everyone. For the first time, the search for answers doesn't need to be waiting for disclosure of our past, but learning for ourselves in the future. If you enjoy content like this, I'd greatly appreciate if you let me know by subscribing and leaving a comment of what topics you'd like to see next. Don't forget to look up.